Tonight's AI news is one of those days where the story is not just smarter models. It is the machinery around them. Chips, enterprise deployment, cheaper agent models, medical robotics, and AI for national science programs. The five stories are AMD and Anthropic's new 2 gigawatt chip partnership, OpenAI launching presence for enterprise voice and chat agents, Google releasing new Gemini Flash models, NVIDIA open-sourcing a medical robotics simulation framework, and Microsoft committing $60 million to the Department of Energy's Genesis mission. First, the biggest story, AMD and Anthropic announced a major AI infrastructure partnership. Anthropic plans to deploy up to 2 gigawatts of AMD Instinct MI450 series GPUs in AMD Helios rack-scale systems. AMD says deployment of the first gigawatt is expected to begin in the first half of 2027. The deal is not just chips. AMD says the two companies will collaborate to use Claude to optimize workloads for AMD Instinct GPUs and accelerate ROCm software development. AMD also says it has committed to make a strategic equity investment of up to $5 billion in Anthropic in the future. What is confirmed is the partnership, the 2 gigawatt target, the Helios systems, the first gigawatt timing, and the planned investment. What is not yet visible to ordinary users is a change in Claude pricing or availability today. Why it matters? Compute is now one of the main currencies of frontier AI. Anthropic already works with several major infrastructure partners, but this gives it another path outside the NVIDIA-centered stack. For AMD, it is a chance to prove Helios can compete at the full system level: GPUs, CPUs, networking, and software together. For everyone using Claude, the practical impact is capacity, reliability, and long-term cost pressure, not a new button in the app tonight. Second, OpenAI launched OpenAI Presence. This is an enterprise product for deploying AI agents in voice and chat workflows, such as customer support, billing issues, insurance claims, sales, or internal IT requests. OpenAI says Presence combines model reasoning with company policies, guardrails, approved actions, simulations, evaluations, escalation rules, and a codex-powered improvement process. The idea is that an agent gets only the knowledge and system access required for a specific job, and the company defines when it can act, when it needs approval, and when a person should take over. OpenAI says Presence is available today for voice and chat agents. It also says the product powers OpenAI's own English-language phone support channel and resolves 75% of inbound issues without human assistance. That figure is a company claim, so it should be treated as self-reported. Why it matters? The hard part of enterprise agents is no longer making a cool demo. It is deploying something that can touch real systems without creating a compliance disaster. Presence shows OpenAI moving beyond model access into operational software, permissions, testing, monitoring, handoffs, and continuous improvement after launch. Third, Google has released new Gemini Flash models. The announcement includes Gemini 3.6 Flash, Gemini 3.5 Flash Lite, and Gemini 3.5 Flash Cyber. Google says 3.6 Flash is aimed at better coding, knowledge work, multimodal tasks, and lower token use. It lists pricing at $1.50 per million input tokens and $7.50 per million output tokens. Google says 3.5 Flash Lite is the fastest model in the 3.5 series and is priced at 30 cents per million input tokens and $2.50 per million output tokens. Availability is different by model. Google says 3.6 Flash and 3.5 Flash Lite are available starting today through the Gemini API, Google AI Studio, Android Studio, Gemini Enterprise, and the Gemini app, with Flash Lite also rolling out in Google Search. Gemini 3.5 Flash Cyber is much more restricted. Google says it will be available to governments and trusted partners through CodeMender in a limited access pilot. Why it matters? This is the model race becoming a cost-per-task race. Developers building agents need models that are fast, cheap enough to call many times, and reliable with tools. Google's Cyber model is also a reminder that AI systems that find and patch vulnerabilities are dual use. Useful for defenders, but risky if broadly released without controls. Fourth, NVIDIA open-sourced a medical physics simulation framework inside Isaac for healthcare. The goal is to help medical robotics teams simulate anatomy, device contact, friction, sensor inputs, and unusual scenarios before relying on expensive physical testing. NVIDIA says the framework can help developers train and evaluate robot policies, create reusable simulation environments, and test how robots perform when anatomy changes or instruments bend, slip, or interact with tissue. It is powered by NVIDIA CUDA and sits alongside technologies including Warp, Newton, and Cosmos simulation tools. There are important limits here. This does not mean a robot is ready for surgery because it worked in simulation. Medical devices still need physical validation, regulatory review, and clinical evidence. Why it matters? Healthcare robotics has a data problem. The rare cases developers need most are hard to collect safely and consistently. Open simulation infrastructure could help teams find failure modes earlier and produce more transparent evidence. It is a serious AI for good story, but it should be framed as development infrastructure, not a shortcut to patient care. Fifth, Microsoft announced a $60 million commitment to the Department of Energy's Genesis mission. The package includes $40 million in Azure Compute and AI credits over 3 years, plus $20 million in solution engineering services. Microsoft is also launching Spark, short for Scientific Partnership Advancing Research and Knowledge. The company says Spark will coordinate collaboration with the Genesis mission across Microsoft teams, national labs, academia, security, compliance, and engineering. Microsoft also says Microsoft Discovery is now generally available, bringing AI models, simulation, data, and experimental workflows into a governed environment for scientific research. Why it matters? This is AI being aimed at science infrastructure, materials discovery, biosecurity, nuclear permitting, autonomous labs, quantum research, and national lab workflows. It is not a consumer feature, but it matters because some of AI's highest value uses may happen inside research systems most people never see. So the theme today is industrial AI. AMD and Anthropic show the scale of the compute race. OpenAI presence shows agents becoming enterprise operations software. Google is pushing faster and cheaper agent models. NVIDIA is building simulation tools for medical robotics. And Microsoft is tying AI to scientific discovery and public sector research. Which story do you think will have the biggest impact? Anthropic's AMD deal, OpenAI presence, Google's new Gemini models, NVIDIA's medical simulation framework, or Microsoft's Genesis mission commitment? Let me know in the comments, and subscribe for your daily AI update.